Welcome to the Power of Great. I'm your host, Matt Crane, and every single week we bring you entrepreneurs, CEOs, 9-to-5ers, ordinary folks, but more importantly, we bring you people who recognize that their current situation is not their defining moment. And this week, we've got Jason Criddle with us in the Power of Great Studios. And you know, Jason says this: we must take drastic and spiritual steps moving forward in order to foster a better thinking process for our children, our planet, and our universe for all generations moving forward. We've been stuck in this false reality of hope and despair for far too long. Our broken society is the byproduct of fear and lack of creativity. The only true reality is our thought process and imagination. Jason's a serial entrepreneur, runs many different corporations, has created many different ideas that has now turned into businesses. He's an accomplished author, published blogger, well sought after thought leader in the space. Jason Criddle, welcome to the Power of Great, my man.
That's the greatest introduction I've ever heard, ever. What's up, man?
I love it. I tell you what, Jason, I'm super excited to have you here because, you know, you and I put social media to the test. You know, we met through online channels. There was a lot of synergy there. And from the very beginning, it was like there was just this power, not to play on words here, right? But
Right.
just this power and synergy that we were destined to be intertwined with one another. And, you know, Jason, I love what you said. So jumping right into it, I love what you said here. We've been stuck in this false reality of hope and despair for far too long. The only true reality is our thought process and imagination. Wow. You know, what's your experiences that kind of helped you derive at that moment?
I think one of the things that, you know, I don't want to make this interview about, you know, spiritual reality or spiritual beliefs or anything like that. But at the same time, I also believe that's what's missing. And I think a few people are making that part of their reality. Most people just kind of get stuck in this, you know, I have to work, I have to take care of my kids, I have to go to church, I have to do whatever it is. But regardless of what they are dealing with, it's all coming from them. If we are dreaming, if we're having nightmares, if we're stressing out, if there's something in our family, our business, whatever we don't like, it's us. It's all us. It's in our mind. It's our imaginations. I mean, like I said, even dreams are a part of us. So if we're having some kind of nightmare that's recurring every single night, it's us telling us something. And I think that we've gotten too far away from that belief, that consciousness that's inside us that can ultimately guide the way for whatever we want to do.
Yeah, and you know, I love how you said that our dreams are really part of our reality too, because, you know, for most people, it's the dreaming that leads to the realization of what they want to accomplish. And I think far too many people are dreaming less, and more people need to be dreaming more, dreaming bigger, having bigger goals, and really going to sleep at night without worrying about what they're going to eat the next day, but more importantly, dreaming about what they're going to accomplish the next day. So, you know, Jason, when did you get struck with the entrepreneurial bug, and what would you say was your first entrepreneurial journey?
You know, after I became a personal trainer, so my daughter was born and I decided to lose all this weight, you know, seriously, she started walking, and that was one of my big wake up moments in my life, just realizing that, like, she was just watching everybody around her walk. Like, nobody taught her how to walk. And I realized at that point that everything that I had done in my life up until that point, I had done it watching other people do it. And so I just kind of decided to step outside. And dude, seriously, once I lost all that weight, I mean, everything started coming to me. Like, I was asked to speak to a group of people about my journey. But above that, I think becoming a personal trainer, it gave me the confidence that I needed to be a man, because for the first time in my life, people were intimidated to meet me. And I used that to my advantage. And I thought to myself, okay, so these people are nervous to see me. There's something about my presence that it's acting upon these people. And so once I learned that confidence in myself, it never went away, man. And I went from personal training to speaking to doing sales to writing books to speaking some more to speaking, you know. And as far as the creating businesses and everything, man, like you said, whenever we first started, people aren't dreaming. People don't have a vision. People hear this thing about a vision board and affirmations, and it could be joked to somebody, but shit, if you want something, write it down. And if you really want that thing that you wrote down, then work towards it every day. And that can happen for everybody. And the bigger the goal, the bigger the dream, the more opportunities flood to you. And I'm pretty sure you've gone through the same thing. You had this vision for this podcast, but it took you writing it down and putting all the steps in place, and then all of a sudden it floods and it doesn't stop. And here you are, and it's still going and going and going, getting bigger and bigger and bigger because you're not stopping. We have to take a look at ourselves, regardless of what it is that we want. Being an entrepreneur, being a better boyfriend, a better father, regardless of what it is. And we kind of have to get pissed off about the things that aren't changing, about the things that are wrong, and make strides to start doing things right, to do things the way that we want to do them, not to do things the way the world would expect us to do them.
Yeah, you know, I love, man, I absolutely love what you said there. And it takes me to a point where we're talking about offline. You said tigers don't have affirmations before they decide to pounce on something, and lions don't have affirmation before they decide that they want to become the king of the jungle. They just go out and do the activities. And you talk about the podcast. You know, you're exactly right. I had to write down what I wanted this podcast to become, but more than just writing it down, I had to put in the activities. I had to fail through some moments. I had to struggle through some things. I had to learn the ropes by taking the written word, but then providing real case studies through action items. And I think you do that better than most people, because you're a firm believer of, hey, you want to do it? Hey, let's go out and let's prove it right or wrong.
Right.
Let's go out and do the activities. And you know, every time you and I have a conversation or a communication, it's all about love the idea. What's the activity? Love the idea. Here's what came from the motion.
Right.
And I love how you always contextualize those things. And so,
I apologize. Go ahead.
No. What were you saying? Go.
Cause and effect. I think we live in a world of effects, and so the typical human, we think of the effects. It's like, okay, I'm sick. I'm going to do something to get rid of these symptoms, instead of going and looking for the cause. And every single effect has a cause. And so if somebody wants that big house, that successful business, that whatever it is, there is a cause behind that they are either not seeing or they're not realizing. And that cause is more than likely the shitty situation that they're in at the time. But most people don't appreciate the cause. Most people don't look and think to themselves the cause. We have the Smartr app company right now. The Smartr app company wasn't just some idea that came from nowhere. There were millions and millions of causes behind that. And you said earlier about I have this 3-step process that I wrote on the wall in the garage. And it says 3 steps to trillionaire success. Number 1 is do it for the world. And it says /God, because the world and God are the exact same thing. Number 2, don't give up or give a shit. So don't give up on what you're doing, and don't give a shit what anybody thinks or says about it. And then 3, repeat the first 2. And as long as you're doing something big for the world, and as long as you don't give a shit what anybody thinks, then you can follow through and you can generate the effect. A lot of people are afraid to go through shit, but the best shit creates the best plants. You know what I'm saying? The more manure, the more crap you pour on a plant, the bigger and more beautiful the plant will be. We don't need to be afraid of the shit. We need to be afraid of not going through the shit.
Yeah, I love that. The more manure you pile on top of your plants, the better they're going to grow, the more nourishments they're going to get, and the more plentiful their blooms are going to be. So I love that analogy, and I think so many people fail to pile on the manure sometimes because they're afraid of how it smells, right?
Right.
So for everyone out there listening on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Stitcher, SoundCloud, I want to say thank you again. We're live with Jason Criddle. My man's a serial entrepreneur, founder and creator of the Smartr app company, Smartr Marketing, but more importantly, he's a speaker, philanthropist, author. He's an awesome father, and the guy is just one of those thought leaders you want to get in front of when it comes to entrepreneurship and starting a business. And I want to give a big shout out to the folks at Rush Impact Media as well. They do a great job behind the scenes of help powering up the Power of Great podcast. My man Jeremy Warner and the guys and gals out there at Rush Impact Media, thank you so very much. So, you mentioned the Smartr app company, and we talked about Smartr marketing and some of the intros and some of the verbiage here. You talked about how it was millions of experiences and symptoms that you were going out to solve and find the causes of those symptoms that created the Smartr app company. Talk to us about that creation and how it's really led to so many more opportunities for you.
So I got into sales, and what I mean by got into sales is I got into network marketing. And, it's really funny because these things that I was telling myself in 2012, I kept telling all my clients, by the end of this year, I'm going to be able to train all my clients for free. I'm not going to have to worry about paying or anything. And all my clients would ask, well, how are you going to pay your bills? I don't know. That was never one of the things that I worried about. All I knew is I wanted to take my personal training regimen. I wanted to turn it to a nonprofit organization. I wanted to educate and not charge people. And then network marketing fell into my lap. And it was this perfect piece because it fit very well into the personal training and the wellness and the education that I was in. But there was a problem behind it. And the major problem is it was network marketing. And so throughout my sales career, I was really, really great at network marketing, so much so that other companies started coming after me and asking me to come and be representatives for them. So instead of repping any certain company, I found a living in talking to people, talking to directors, talking to multi-level marketing people. There's just this huge gap, and it's a 70-year-old industry. And the gap that's there is I have to buy a whole bunch of worthless crap from some company that I might not even like in order to make money. And not only that, but that company is going to be so selfish that they tell me that I can't do that for anybody else. I have to represent their one brand, their one company. So even if I decide to do a company full time and all of my full-time efforts make me $250 a month, then I'm stuck. I'm stuck with that company. And so I wanted to create a system where people could represent any brand that they want, because that's all we do. I mean, the clothes that I'm wearing right now represent the brands that the food I eat. So we came up with this concept for this software to tie this system together to where brands could use our software. People can promote their brands without having to pay a dime to promote their brands. They're just promoting this they like. And if I want to support 3 brands or 5 brands or 10 brands, I can do it. And I can make all the money in the world from it. On the flip side of it, not only can a user, a person that enjoys the brand, not only can they start their brand or represent that brand, but me, myself, or you, Matt Crane, you can have your own app. And I think that that's another problem that was solved, is apps have been apps are like a new business card now. And apps for so long have been so far out of reach for the typical entrepreneur, $20,000, $100,000 to get something built. I wanted to build something to where an entrepreneur could pay $100 a month and have their own app in the app store. And then they could have their own customer base promoting that app. That's how the Smartr app company got started, man.
I love that. So once again, entrepreneurial. You saw a problem, and instead of becoming part of the merry-go-round of conversations about how that problem is going to create bigger problems, you went out and created a solution. And I love what you did there is that not only did you solve a solution for an industry, but you also solved a solution for individuals, because the Smartr app company is just not totally intended for people that are business minded. Maybe it's people that have a book, or maybe it's people that have a blog, or maybe they just want to have their own personal app in order to send people to for their messaging, or maybe they are aspiring authors or entrepreneurs. And so, walk us through the process. So Jason, let's say that Matt wanted to have an app with the Smartr app company. What's the process, and how would one go about creating the Smartr app for their personal brand or for their business?
Mr. Matt Crane would go to Smartr Marketing. He would download the Smartr Marketing app from either app store. You would place your order on the app from the different options, all the way from $100 a month to $1,000 a month option, just depending on what you need. And then you purchased it, and that's it. And then you send your information to us. We implement all the information to an app. We send you a customized dashboard to where you can make any kind of changes you want in your app in real time. And that's done. And not only that, but Smartr Marketing uses the exact same software that we use on these apps. So if I wanted you to go to Smartr Marketing, if I said, Matt Crane, you need an app, download Smartr Marketing, put in my passcode. You're going to put in my referral code. And then whenever you purchase that app, I get paid from it. Whenever you give your app to somebody, you give them your passcode. When somebody purchases Matt Crane's products, that person gets paid for it. So every purchase, every single line item, everything is tracked throughout this entire system, to where people have incentive to go and promote a brand. What's that incentive? I'm getting paid to promote that brand. Not only is it, I'm going to rewind back to the spiritual thing, because I have to throw it in here. I think that the world is full of problem solvers, but you have to have a visionary to create solution. And the reason why I created this solution is because I believe that 99.99999% of the world has a big problem, and that's money. It's stress. It's bills. No matter what it is that's going on in our lives, we stress about how we're going to get through the next day. And once you can start taking a lot of these common triggers, these stress factors out of your life, like how am I going to pay my cell phone bill? How am I going to pay my rent? Then all of a sudden you can start having more positive thoughts. You can start dreaming more. I would like to think that the reason why I was even able to come up with these solutions is because of the problems I was solving for myself. I was able to free up my mind of stress and negative associations with things to start coming up with something bigger.
Well, what I love what you did there is there's a couple things that I really took away from that, and I want our audience and our listeners to really pick up on that. Is that right now there's a huge flood to the market for affiliate marketing, huge flood. So many people are creating their entrepreneurial journey from affiliate marketing. What you've done is really put affiliate marketing at the fingertips of the consumers.
Right.
And, we go to the grocery store and we buy products and we tell our neighbors the recipes that we create. And then we go to a movie and we watch a movie and we tell people to go watch that movie and we get nothing from it. The theaters get it. The grocery stores get it. The brands get it. What you've done is you said, hey, you create a product, and because your friends, because your listeners, because your viewers, because your people are willing to promote that and buy from that, we're going to reward them.
Right.
You're getting rewarded because they're going to come shop for you, but we're going to reward them because they took the time to promote the app that was used for that purchase of the product. I think it's brilliant. Absolutely think it's brilliant. But more importantly, I think it also shows what true entrepreneurship is all about. You're creating something that solves a bigger problem for a larger group of people, and it's very unselfish. I believe that real entrepreneurs are unselfish. Mm-hmm. And the ones that are the most unselfish, you look at Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. I mean, the guy gives away more than he takes in, and look at what his company's doing. Bill Gates, look at what Microsoft has done. So I digress there. But, Jason, so things haven't always been peachy keen for you. Things haven't always been rosy for you. You know, walk us through during your entrepreneurial journey some of those tough moments where maybe you did you ever have a moment you said, man, this is it, I'm out. I'm just going back to the regular world and draw a regular check and I gave it a good run, but this just isn't for me.
Yeah, what time is it? I think that happened like 4 times this morning. It's you know, okay, so I'm not trying to brag about anything. So I have like 20 books published. I have no idea when I wrote them because I don't think about it. And you know, you and I had a conversation at the beginning of the year where we talked about success is based on infrastructure. And I believe that 100% because I don't believe for a second that our company would be at all where it is if it weren't for the 4-year journey. Because I started this journey at the beginning of 2012. And once I created that first vision board, once I had that first vision of I'm going to write this book called Trainer to Trillionaire, and I'm going to create a $1 trillion company. Well, how do you create a $1 trillion company? You give the $1 trillion back to the people that helped you create it. There were moments when I was living in my car. I had a 2-year court battle to get custody of my daughter. It's like every that, and that doesn't even have anything to do with building the business and the steps that it took to get here. I would have an idea for a company and I'd put it on paper and we would put some funding behind it and we would get that company launched and nothing would happen. And then we would say, okay, well, we need to evolve a little bit. We need to go a little bit further. We need to change this a little bit. And I think a culmination of all those changes and all those evolutions, but not giving up on something is what created that infrastructure. Because after a couple of years of doing this process of evolving over and over, I was able to say, like, crap, look at all of this that we built. It wasn't this one thing, not this one idea that was built. And there were so many times along the way where I had to ask an investor for money. I had to ask my mom for money. I had to sleep on my mom's couch. You know, I had to get the cell phone cut off. I had to skip meals. I had to make sure my baby could eat. And all along that path, I just had to keep faith. And as silly as that sounds, I believe that there is having faith, and then there is believing, and then above that is knowing. And like we talked about before the show started, the tiger knows. A lion knows it's the king of the jungle. The lion doesn't wake up in the morning and go, you know what? I think those hyenas are going to get me today. You know, I think the antelope are going to be the kings today. I'm going to sit back here and write poetry and feel sorry for myself. No, the lion just goes. Its ultimate purpose, every single thing that it does from the moment it wakes up to the moment it goes to bed, whatever its dreams are about, is about being the king of the mother flipping jungle. And once you develop that divinity, that belief, that faith, that knowing in your heart, it goes above and beyond anything that could ever happen in this physical plane. Everything that happens in this physical plane is right here. It was given to me. Every single test, every single step, every single failure is just this bigger part of us saying, all right, you really want it? Are you sure? You really want it? And you have to go through the shit. And if you're not going through shit, you know, even Grant Cardone says it in his book, The 10 Times Rule, if you're not making new mistakes, if you're not facing new problems, then you're not growing. And so it's not a matter of giving up or going through the hard stuff. It's just a matter of the time is going to pass anyway. No matter what you do, the time is going to pass. What are you going to do with that time? Are you going to work on that infrastructure and build something big? Or are you going to write poetry and feel sorry for yourself today?
Yeah, well, and I could not have said that better myself. And I think that there's two big points that I really want our listeners and those that are out there on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Once again, we're on the Power of Great podcast with my man, serial entrepreneur, creator and founder of Smartr Marketing and the Smartr app company, Jason Criddle. Is this number one? There's not anybody on planet Earth that does not have a skill set. What they lack is the foundation for that skill set to expand upon, the resources to expand that skill. And then number two, I think what really separates successful entrepreneurs from those that want to be entrepreneurs is the one thing that separates the animal kingdom from the human race, and that's reasoning. Is that animals defy gravity because they have no reasonable ability. Animals don't aspire to do anything but be the head honcho of their domain because they can't reason otherwise.
Right. Human
beings reason themselves out of everything. Now, granted, our reasonability is what keeps the status quo. There's a lot of serial killers out there that had no reasoning, and look where it got them. However, I flip that because I think successful entrepreneurs, when you think about the Grant Cardones of the world, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Jason Criddles, at some point they quit reasoning with their situation. They quit reasoning with what people told them they were going to do and how much money they were going to make and how successful they were going to be. And look at what they're doing. So I love how you I just love that sentence you said earlier when you said a tiger doesn't aspire to do anything when it decides that it's going to have lunch. It just decides to pounce. Right. It doesn't think about anything. I love that, man. I absolutely love that. So, Jason, you're all over the place, man. You're running and gunning all the time. I know when you and I speak, you're either going into a meeting, just got out of a meeting, or you just set 3 more meetings. So where can people go to find out more about Jason, and where can people go to find out more about the Smartr app company?
You can look up Smartr. It doesn't have an E in it. It's a lot easier to trademark a made-up word for anybody that's starting any kind of business. But you can look up the Smartr app, Smartr Marketing, the Smartr app company. If you go to the App Store and you type in the Smartr app company, it's going to pull up a whole mess of apps that we have going online and everything. And then I have my own app that's launching. It'll be the Jason app. It should be, and it'll be a whole lot easier than giving anybody a business card. Just tell somebody, hey, download the Jason app. You can, they can go to my website or whatever. But man, I do not like plugging myself. I don't like plugging the accomplishments. I don't like talking about the things that I've done because it's who I am and it's who I'm supposed to be. I remember when I wrote my first book, I put on my business card that I was an author. It took me 9 months to write, edit, publish my first book. It took me about 9 months. And then after I got that out of the way, I was like, well, that was easy. I wrote this book because of this business idea. But now I write books because I'm a content creator. I open my mouth. You have this podcast because you're a content creator. Your brain works. Matt Crane, your brain works. You use it. And it's really funny. I was admiring this squirrel this morning on this tree. And I've written about squirrels before. This squirrel started walking down the tree trunk, right? And it did with so little effort because that's what the squirrel does. From the moment the squirrel wakes up in the morning, every single bit of its life is not about reasoning. It's about, I'm a squirrel. This is what my muscles do. This is what my claws do. And I'm going to survive and be the best squirrel I can. Every single creature on the planet, everything, every animal, every plant, they use 100% of their DNA, 100% of their structure, 100% of their thought power to do what they're supposed to do. And we don't. We have reasoning, unreasonability, We have the ability to make a choice. We can drink from a glass, or we can break a glass and slash somebody's throat with it. We can use our muscles to bodybuild, or we can use our muscles to become sedentary and do nothing with our lives. If we just want to sit down and watch TV and eat cheeseburgers all day, our body will find the most efficient way to do it. We are the only creatures on the planet that do not use 100% of our DNA, 100% of our cells, 100% of our abilities to do what we are supposed to do. And I think the main reason is because nobody knows how. Nobody ever taught us. Like, there's no Bible, there's no school, there's no church, there's nothing that has taught us how to be a human being. There's a whole bunch of humans doing a whole bunch of crap, but nobody's ever sitting down and teaching us, this is what we're supposed to do with our lives. This is what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to have a purpose. Muhammad Ali says, flower has a purpose, an ant has a purpose, a star has a purpose, a tree has a purpose. What gives man the right to think that he doesn't have a purpose? And like you said everybody has a story. Everybody has a business. Everybody has an audience. There's something inside each one of us that the world could never take away. There's something inside each one of us that we can share for profit in this marketplace that is the world. There's something inside each one of us that gives us the ability to climb the tree like a squirrel or pounce like a tiger or something. But we have to, day after day, minute after minute, hour after hour, ask ourselves if we're making the right decision. Am I consciously doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now? And I don't want people to think that being an entrepreneur is not about having fun, and being an entrepreneur is not about having a life. Being an entrepreneur is a life. It's a lifestyle that we choose to live. I chose for 4 years to not know where my next paycheck was going to come from. I chose for 4 years to do whatever, put up with whatever shit I had to put up with. And throughout that entire journey, I knew that I was a success. On the outside, the world probably didn't think that I was doing successful things. It was me knowing every single day I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'm fulfilling my purpose. And we all have that ability. We all have that power of great. We all have that power of God. We all have that power of the Son, of eternity within us. We all have it in us.
You know, man, I mean, it's no doubt, you know, everybody listening to this right now, there's no doubt in their mind that they know now why you've been able to publish 20 books, because you speak from such a place in your soul that I think most people are still searching to find. You've been blessed to find it so early in life, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of this journey, and so many people that you're going to impact with your story. You know, and I even think about when you and I first met over a year ago, how the transition has just been so blissful for both of us. We've been in the trenches with one another, watching each other grow and watching each other expand, and all that it did was bring us back full circle to an even better place in life. And I think that's what's amazing about the entrepreneurial community, is that it's more than a fraternity. It's really a lifestyle. And you've got to understand that most entrepreneurs are never going to have the bling, are never going to have all the great things, because that's not what they're concerned about. They're concerned about with what kind of legacy their journey's leaving on people. And you, my friend, are setting the bar for a legacy, and I'm super proud to be a part of that. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Criddle, my man, is humble. He doesn't want to speak about his accomplishments, but you don't have to worry about him talking about them. You'll just get to watch them. When you get to iTunes, the App Store, or if you get to Google Play on an Android device and you download Smartr Marketing, that's SMARTR Marketing, and you get that app, you get your own referral code when you download that app. More importantly, once you start passing that referral code on to other people, everybody starts winning. So you also want to get to jasoncriddle.com. Check out my man Jason, all that he's got accomplished. You get to see how you can work with him. More importantly, you can also see how you can hire Jason to speak. And I'm going to tell you, he's captivating, he's fascinating. And for those of you that have been blessed to be on the Power of Great with us today, you've heard just a small portion of what he brings to the table. But as we wrap up the show, I'll leave you with this every single week. Success isn't measured by what you step out of, rather by what you are committed to step into. And I thank you guys and gals each and every week for allowing me to be your host right here on The Power of Great. And we'll see you all next week.